they're adding Zubimendi to it, and they're looking like they're adding Eze, and to the point that Staffy got into, and I think we'll go to this now because you and I will just agree to disagree as we can keep going in circles. I look at that when you say you don't know how they're going to play all these players, Staffy. What do you mean by that?
So I don't see Eze coming into this team and playing down the middle. I know a lot of people want him to do that. There's a lot of people that are fed up with Odegaard, so they want him to start over Odegaard. I don't see a scenario where number one, your captain just gets benched going into the season. So that's a factor. Secondly, I think Eze is better off being a creator off the left. I think you lack creativity off the left due to Martinelli just not really being a creative player. He's just more of a touchline winger. He does well off the ball, tracks back and all that stuff, but I don't think they have a lot of creativity. If you're going to bring in Gyökeres, I think you're better off playing Eze on the left. I do see a scenario where if Arsenal play a midfield which is the default right now, Zubimendi, Rice, and Odegaard, and then you put Eze as a left where he just drives into central areas, be a little bit of a creator. He can actually form a little bit of a box midfield where him and Odegaard can be 2 10s while one of the fullbacks kind of like goes up a little bit or whatever. And then you got Gyökeres making his runs that he likes to make off the left-hand side or in central areas. And then obviously Saka doing his thing. To me, that just makes more sense than starting as in a central area. Because if you start in a central area, what does that mean? It means by the way he starts, he plays on the left, and then it means who's getting benched from your midfield. Zubimendi, Rice, or Odegaard. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I'd go with the first way I'd line them up. If you do that, now it's up to Arteta to get the best out of them. If he does or not, that's different. I think it's a little bit of a prediction where I think he might actually struggle this year with all these signings that he's made, and he kind of runs out of excuses when he signed top players like Gyökeres and Eze. But if he does find a way to get him click, I think that's the midfield and the front line that you got to go with. I don't see a way where you just put Eze in the attacking midfield. Like I think who'd you say said that? Was it Ben Jacobs or who said that?
Ben Jacobs said he's part of the attacking midfield. He's an attacking midfield option.
That.
Yeah.
I don't see that. If he does something where like Chelsea do this, where they have Palmer and Enzo end up being like 2 10s, but one of them actually starts off the right. So Palmer starts off the right, but then he plays in central areas next to Enzo, and then they get Gusto as an example, who'll play like a right wing. You can do that but with what's his name, Eze and Odegaard. You get them to operate in central areas. You got Rice and Zubimendi behind them, and then either have the left back or the right back just player higher up the pitch. That's the only scenario I see it happening. But I don't know what Arteta's going to do.
If you want to tuck in Eze to create that box, very similar to what we do and like Aston Villa do that.
Which I think that's his best ability.
You're going to have to overlap Skelly on that side. He doesn't do that, right? So he's going to have to change that because you need width on that side. If you invert Eze and you keep Skelly back, there's no one there that's keeping the width, right? You know what I'm saying? You need a player that's going to take that player away from Eze. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, my biggest issue for them, Terry, just watching them, is just how that midfield's set up. I don't think Arteta's setting it up the best way that he can. You know, I speak to a lot of Arsenal fans who are like, bro, I agree with you. Like, I would rather we play a double pivot with a 10. You know, I'd rather play what Staffy's saying there as well. That's a smart way of going about things. But the way it is right now, nah, man, it's not it. I think the midfield's imbalanced like that, bro. I'll be real.
If he sets them up in that box midfield we mentioned, I think that's the best way to do it. You get everything. You get the physicality and the box crashing from Rice. You get the build-up play and the half turns from Zubimendi. You got Odegaard controlling in the midfield. You get Eze being a little bit of a creative spark in the final third, turning onto his right, going into central areas. And then you give the freedom to Gyökeres to kind of operate in the wide areas. I don't know how. The only thing I know is, this is why I keep saying I don't know. All I know is you're not going to drop certain players that you're just signing right now and they just operate in this scene, because Gyökeres doesn't play traditionally like Havertz does. Eze doesn't play traditionally how Martinelli does. There has to be a lot of tweaks in the system when you drop these players in. I think David said it on one of the top 6 shows a couple of weeks ago, and I completely agreed with him when he mentioned Gyökeres. They don't stylistically play like the old players, which is why, yes, these are good signings, but now you're going to look at your manager, because I think if the manager doesn't make the right adjustments, these are just good players that are being wasted. Which is why I keep saying I don't think, and I have no problem at the end of the season if I'm proven wrong to say, you know what, fair enough, Arteta proved that he can actually coach that. I don't think he'll take that next level in his coaching. I think these signings, because they're so good, they're gonna be the reason that he gets sacked because he's not gonna be able to take the team to the next level.
I hope he keeps that midfield like that, bro. I hope he does. I hope he does, bro. You know what I mean? Because there's a bunch of.
I'm just saying. This is my prediction.
I hope he does. I hope he does,
These
bro.
are good
Because
players.
there's a bunch of deluded guys that are in the chat, yeah, that think that we don't watch football and we can't give our take on stuff. We should just follow what Arteta does like a sheep. You know what I'm saying? You guys ain't no men. You know, you just listen to another man and you follow what that man does instead of having a brain for yourself, bro. You know what I'm saying? Some of us have been watching football and played football for a long time, so we'll know what we're saying, bro. You know what I'm saying? I watch other teams and see how they progress the ball through the middle, and I watch you, man. I have to prepare myself to watch your games. Yeah?
I've got some stats for you. Are there any stats? And the eye test is different. So let's look at some of these stats, okay? So this is Partey versus Caicedo last season. So if you look at it here, Caicedo's in yellow. So slightly more key passes, but progressive passes similar. Caicedo outdoes him on the duels. Definitely outdoes him massively on possession one. On ball carrying, Partey's better. Forward passes, Partey's better. And about the same when it comes to forward passing accuracy. We then move to Palmer and Odegaard. Now, Palmer, key passes better. Duels better. But progressive passes, forward passing accuracy, forward passes in total, ball carrying the same, much better. Neither player great on possession winning because of where they play. But Odegaard, you can clearly see winning that there, statistically speaking. And then when it comes to Rice and Enzo, again, the key passes, as we thought, and progressive passes, better for Enzo, but forward passing accuracy, better for Rice. Forward passes in totality, slightly better for Enzo. Two of the three, though, now for Chelsea have carried the ball more than Chelsea. And at possession one, Enzo slightly does that. Jules, very, very similar indeed. So statistically speaking, not too much difference. For me, that kind of matches how I view things. I don't, like I've said, I don't see a lot of difference. I'm just going with the collective. I think the midfield is the engine room of a team, the most important part of a team. And over the last 2 to 3 seasons, I still have Arsenal slightly ahead of Chelsea's. But
Just to finish off, Palmer or Odegaard?
I'd pick Palmer. I think Palmer's better, yes.
Enzo or Rice?
Rice.
You'd rather Rice in the attacking midfielder position?
No, I'd rather Rice in his position. I'd rather Rice be a box-to-box.
We're going off of the system that he's playing. The system that he plays.
Yeah, and Rice goes up and down the pitch.
Yeah, but most of the time he's in that left half pocket, bro. That little space.
Okay. But he goes up and down. He goes up and down the pitch.
He plays as an 8 for Arsenal. So Rice is an 8 or Enzo is an 8, please.
Okay, as an 8, are they box to box or attacking midfield?
Box to box, broski. Yeah,
I'm picking Declan Rice. Yes,
bro. Enzo puts in the shift off the ball and on the ball, bro.
I like Enzo. Very good. I'm going with Palmer. I'm going with Rice. I'm going with Palmer. I'm going with Rice, and I'm going with Caicedo. Okay, so I would still pick 2 of your 3 over there. If Thomas Partey was younger and didn't have what's hanging around his neck, we might be having a different conversation, because let's not deny that Palmer wasn't. Partey hasn't been an amazing midfielder for the majority of his career. I'm going with that. But like I've said, you may have. I'd pick 2 of yours over. Well, Partey's gone now. I'd pick 2 of yours over one of theirs. But it's how things work. It's how things work in unison, because the late great Sir Alf Ramsey. You both know who Sir Alf Ramsey is, right?
I don't know.
Educate me. He was the England manager.
No, he lives there. So.
Well, he should know. He's the England manager that won the fucking World Cup, right? Sir Alf Ramsey.
Yeah, I feel like I should have known that too.
Yeah. Well, you're not English, and it's an English thing, but yeah.
I know a little bit.
Sir Alf Ramsey, his most famous quote was, "You never pick your best players, you pick the best team." And Chelsea.
Yeah, see, I should have known that, because I know that quote.
And we know that, by the way, on paper. You go back, rewind 12 months ago, rewind 18 months ago. If I said to you, what front 3 are you picking? Doué, Dembele, and Kvaratskhelia, or Messi, Mbappe, Neymar? How many people are not picking Messi, Neymar, and fucking Mbappe? You're probably looking at 90%.
Changes quick, I'll be honest.
No, it does, but that's also part of it. Like I've said, my mind will change, but you pick your best team. Chelsea, like I've said, fantastic midfield. Growing in the right direction, amazing. Not slagging them off one bit. Could surpass Arsenal this year, but as of now, it's there. Statistically, they're very close. Eye test, they're very close. Both teams last season in the league, very close. I don't think there's clear blue water in either direction, in my personal opinion.